Welcome, guys. Man, stuff is going crazy here in the Amico sphere. I never expected to do a live stream talking about Amico, and I don't plan to stay on very long. And if there is anyone who's been a previous guest and they want to join in, send me a message through the Twitter and I will give you a link. But I think this will probably be a short one. So over at the Intellivision underscore Amico Reddit, they have announced, or someone announced, that basically the StartEngine campaign is over. It is finished. It is gone. There's nothing to do, which really surprised me. So this was Modest Machine. I'll give them credit for finding this. And I know Lucky Day is here, and I know Lucky Day already posted a short video snippet. And I know right before I decided to go live, Smash JT made a video about this as well, a little 10-minute video that I was actually watching before I came on. It is crazy. It is crazy that this is a day that so many people were expecting Intellivision to give an announcement. And the announcement, I don't know that this is the announcement they were talking about, but we got an announcement late in the day that their crowdfunding campaign is done. It is over. So let's go to the campaign real quickly, and I'll tell you why this really kind of took me by surprise. So here we are at the campaign, and you can see it says the Intellivision offering is now closed and no longer accepting investments. And I believe it's still at the same amount. Yes, 58,000 that it was supposed to be. And when I was doing the stream last night, we were talking, someone brought up, like, you need to give a 5-day notice to your investors, if you're going to close a campaign early. So let's go ahead and let's look at that. Let me remove this and let's go ahead and look at, and by the way, hi to everybody who's saying hi. I see you. Crazy day. Let me show you what it says over at the StartEngine campaign, or StartEngine, as far as canceling something early. So I actually found a little thing of this. So here it is. So here we are. Can I end my campaign early? While we would love for you to stay, we understand that each company has their own plans for theirs. As such, we do allow campaigns to end early. This campaign, by the way, was supposed to go until April 30th, I believe, but they never made a public end date. I don't think they ever made a public end date. And so basically, here's what you do to end your campaign early. You review this making changes document to determine if it's material or non-material. That's some muckety mucks stuff where basically they're going to charge you $1,000 if you decide to do this. You email the customer service representative, let them know. We recommend letting us know as early as possible, at least 40 days notice. We are unable to end a campaign if you wish to end it 8 days or less. So you email them. They let you know. If we can end your campaign early, your customer success representative will provide you with the following timeline, and they will tell you basically everything that you're supposed to do. And they said that they will add an amendment, and it has to be done 5 business days before your new campaign end date. And they show a closing soon template, which we never saw. I don't know if this is something that was emailed to their investors, but it says, thank you to all of our investors. This notice is to let you know that our campaign will be closing on a certain date. So please consider investing today while you still can. Note that investor may cancel investment commitment for any reason until 48 hours prior to our close date, unless we've already dispersed your funds previously. So my question is, did they give their people, their investors, did they give them a notice? Did they give them the 5 days so that they could say, hey, yeah, I don't want my money in this thing? Because it just came out of the blue. And it's so ironic to me. It is so ironic to me that this is happening. This is happening the same day that a lot of people were expecting to get a ship date announcement. And instead they're closing the campaign. To me, my spider sense is tingling. It could be wrong, but I have a feeling that very shortly we are going to get a notice. We are going to get a notice from Intellivision. We are going to get an announcement that they're closing shop. That's my theory, because this seems to have come right out of the blue. I was not expecting this day of all days to happen. I could be wrong. Maybe they got some of that Middle East money we were talking about the other day, and now they don't even need it anymore. Now they don't need the money anymore. So that's a possibility. But I don't know. I don't know. And I really hope what they don't do, and I'm not saying I know that I have no ideas. I'm just pure speculation. I really hope what they don't do is enter in bankruptcy before people can get their money, their pre-order money back, their deposits back. I'm not saying they're doing that. I would that would be the scummiest thing ever if they enter into bankruptcy before people can get that money back. So it's possible. Let's see. Mr. T-Bone says maybe they did give investors notice. That explains the 2000 drop. Why the rest remained is a real mystery. It's possible that the investors got an email. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but and I see. Let me send an invite to someone. So let me copy the invite and send it, and then I'll get right back and send away. It's possible that they got an email, and so they had the 5 days notice. And if you were following the stream yesterday and we were looking at the history of the StartEngine campaign, it hasn't moved at all in at least 5 days. I have to look up what the last movement is on it. So let me see if I can dig that up real quick. Just where is that tab? Because I gotta see how many days it's been since it's moved at all. So maybe they stopped. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Nothing makes sense anymore, which actually is very fitting for what's going on. So this is King's Crowd, which keeps track of this stuff, and I will put this on the screen. So let me go ahead and find this and add this to the screen. Where is King's Crown? There it is. And I'll add JG as well as he's coughing or making noise or something. How you doing? You're live, man. I can hear some echoes or something.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me put my headphones in.
Sure. You go ahead and do that. And let's see. So this is the King's crowd tracking on it. So let's see. We have 223, 224, 225, 226, 227, 228. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's almost a 5 days right there. So that might be something. Maybe they emailed them the notice, but I thought you would put the notice front and center because the investors on StartEngine are supposed to have 48 hours to cancel before the campaign ends. So what if someone invested the last second, right? They are supposed to be given that time. So Smash, you there? You still getting your headphones in? I think Smash is still getting his headphones in, so he'll join in just.
I was muted. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, I'm right here. What?
and
Well,
the
go ahead.
timing's ironic because right before I went live, I saw you just posted a video, and I was trying to get as much of that in as possible. But my basic take on this stuff is this looks really bad. That
That is my take as well.
on this
Yep.
day of all days to have it almost at the midnight hour, right? Like
Yep.
it's late in the day on the day that everyone's been waiting for an announcement. Here's the deal. If I was running a company like that and I know my customers were waiting for a release information of a product, and I told them by the end of the month, I'm going to give you more information on that, I would have something done days in advance, the announcement ready to go. And that day, I'm sending that thing out at, I don't know, 8 a.m., 10 a.m. with a corresponding press release and email. I'm sending it out first thing, right? If it's a big deal, but of course that's not the Intellivision way. So what are your thoughts on all this stuff?
I am 100% in lockstep with you. I think it's a terrible look, and that's being very kind. I am beyond like I don't want to like blow this out of proportion. Like there are obviously greater tragedies in the world, but as an investor, I am shocked that I didn't get like a direct email message from Republic that they've contacted and communicated for us previously. And it's been, I think, months since the last update I got on Republic from them to investors. And I'm shocked they didn't utilize that avenue to just give a heads up to us with some, and you probably didn't get to this part because it was towards the end of my video, but some rationale as to why they're doing this, what happened, what the next steps are, and what the roadmap looks like. Like nothing. It's just like dead, deafening silence, pin drop silence, which is insane to me. Insane. And I was the same person calling for them to cancel this StartEngine because it was such an atrocity. But I thought it was pretty obvious and went without saying that you need to inform people of and communicate with them about what you're doing and why. You can't just do that. Like,
Right. Let's see. So Dan has a comment for you. You shield for it. You shield for it. Smash. Apologize to the rich. So there you go.
apologize to the rich or to Rich
Oh,
from
too
Review Tech.
rich. Too rich. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize to Rich. So now I
Oh
guess we
no,
have to.
me and Rich have already made up. I think I'm on like my fourth or fifth fight with Rich where we hated each other and stopped talking to each other, and then we come back and we're just fine with each other again.
Okay.
Such is the life in YouTube, I guess.
And Lucky Day says that you did recommend they end the StartEngine campaign, so at least they took your advice this time.
I mean, yeah. Again, if I thought they were like going to follow what my advice was, I would have gone further and said the things that I thought were implied, like informing your customers of you doing it. It just seems very. I mean, without any communication, this starts the red flags of going into scam territory now. Like when that happens, I'm like, I really want to avoid implying that with them because I've met them and they seem like nice people. But at every chance they get, they take the wrong turn, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how I can just defend and make up excuses, and they don't give any ammo for that. They do the opposite. And in the same line of thought, the people the I won't call them the cult because they don't like to be called that. So I'll say the hardcore pro Amico defenders till the end. I don't know how they'd handle this tonight. Like I don't know what they're telling themselves if Intellivision did not have a private conversation with them. And from some of the Facebook chat public posts I've seen from some of them, they did not know this was happening, and they are in complete shock, and they don't know what to think either, which is funny because I think they're finally coming to the rationale of where I had the epiphany a couple weeks ago. This moment is hitting them pretty hard tonight.
Yeah, I will say that it's been reported that I won't name names. I don't like to name names, especially at a time like this. But one of the, Amico apologists, if you will, one of them was supposed to do a stream today, and they canceled it without an explanation why. They just said, "Hey, going to have to do it later." So there was some people who are speculating, and it could be, we're regular people. Stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
Family, friends, life happens. So it could just be something like that. Maybe just allergies are kicking up. I mean, it could be anything, but it could also be like you got some bad news today, and it's hard to swallow. It's hard to celebrate and talk about stuff because we know that, like you said, that in the past, Tommy has hooked people up with information ahead of time and given them a heads up. So it would be theoretically possible that they would do it again. But
Yep.
you're
And
right.
I go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just saying I stipulated in my video that that could have happened, and they may have already had that heads up and been like, "Hey, it's going to happen. There's going to be some blowback from this, but here's how we're going to handle it." And I'm like, if that did happen, at some point you got to start questioning. You can't just blindly just keep believing everything. Like you got to be like, guys, like this is you're making me look horrible here. You would
Yeah,
think they'd have some sort of some sort of self actualization and reflection and step outside themselves and be like, what am I even doing here? I can't keep defending the indefensible actions.
but the thing is they haven't. They rarely, if ever, for the negative stuff, have ever come out with an explanation, unless it's like the Ars Technica article, where it's like they write the statement of facts, but they only address the things they want to address and avoid the rest.
Yep.
So Easy G says, NSG, does this mean the end is near? I think it possibly does. That's what my
I
spider sense is
definitely think it
saying.
does.
That's what my spider sense was tingling. I mean, last night when we were on the stream and talking to everybody, there was like optimism. They're going to put a few systems together. They're going to do something. I don't know that that's the case anymore. And it's amazing because I think like a month ago, I was still like, oh, this thing is too big, too much money involved, too much pride involved. Something's going to come out.
Well, that
But
was me back when they had their $13 million from the Republic. I'm like, there's no way in hell this never comes out. Like now it has to. They had more money than three times the amount than Atari raised, four times the amount almost.
well,
Like the
they said they
go
made
ahead.
and their family in their family trailer, which was really an investment trailer in disguise, they bragged about how they raised $17 million in
Hmm.
total. Now, if that's accurate, that's like 6 times the amount that Atari raised for the VCS.
Yeah, yeah. Wow,
Uh,
that's
Star
perspective for you. And the other
Starblade
thing too. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to get this comment real quick. Let me
Yeah,
get two comments and then you can keep
yeah, yeah. Go
your
ahead.
train of thought going. But he says Intellivision management is ripping apart everything Keith Robinson did for the Intellivision name. And I'm
Ugh,
sure Tommy and company meant well, but there is a part of me that misses when Keith Robinson ran things. And
yep,
Intellivision would do things like here's a plug and play, here's the Intellivision flashback, here's a musical CD. Like they never went beyond, they never did anything grand in scope, but they kept the name alive. And now I'm concerned what's going to happen to the name if they do go into bankruptcy. Now I'm concerned, like, what if someone buys it and just sits on it and squats on it, like the Coleco stuff, which is a
yep.
possibility. And this other comment, and television may be avoiding the CU podcast before making official announcement. It is interesting because I think now someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they record on Mondays. And wouldn't it be interesting if they're trying to avoid that? Because I know there's been a tiff between Intellivision and Pat and Ian. So
Well, I would say too to that point. I don't believe this would be the first time they did that, if that is the case. Well, I believe there was other bad news a few months ago that they waited until they recorded so that it was like old news by the time their next CU podcast came out.
that sounds so petty. Let me just say one of the biggest mistakes. I mean, if they ever go under, we can have a big discussion of all the mistakes they made. But one of the mistakes they made was actually trying to engage the haters, if you will.
Hmm.
Because big companies don't do that. You don't see Sony and Nintendo. Like, Nate, tell me the last time that there was a CEO of a company who attacked people and called them names for disagreeing.
Well, I
And
wouldn't
then,
even go that far. I would say look at the Evercade or the Playdate. Like none of this even is in the conversation, and those are more relatable names for consoles being made right now. Like
and
obviously the big three don't do it, but I look at just a direct competitor for them right now, and I'm like, yeah, they're in a different league.
and like, oh, let me see. Let me make sure that I haven't got any other uh okay, no other invites. So if Tony, if you want to come on and talk about this stuff, you can send me a text or a message through Twitter. Boy, I said that like someone who doesn't know the internet. Send me a message through the Twitter, Tony, if you need to, if you want to come on. I'll send you an invite if you want to add your 2 cents, or you could just hang in the chat if you want. but yeah, I mean, they engaged the haters. It was a bad mistake. It was very petty. This whole idea of avoiding a podcast. This I don't understand this. This does not make any sense to me.
And to the point that I was going to say earlier, I find it very telling how quiet their official Intellivision Entertainment Twitter channel or Twitter feed has become. Where if you look back, it was a post on December 14th, 16th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then January 14th after the holiday break, and then February 7th, and that was it.
Yeah, this
So they've completely stopped broadcasting anything.
they've stopped talking. And let me see if I can share this screen. This to me is kind of telling too. I joked earlier today. I think it was on Marceau's stream that you're on. I said a joke like, "Well, they never told us how. They never told us how they were going to announce it, right? They just said we'd make an
Mm-hmm.
announcement." Um,
Yep.
so this is Intellivision's. No, I don't plan to be on all night, but I understand. This is their news. This is their press releases on their official website. Look at their last press release from
Yeesh.
October 10th, 2021 is their last press release. No mention of Phil Adam taking over as
Yikes.
CDO. No mention of, ship updates. No mention of even their family trailer or their
Yikes.
new
Yikes.
campaign.
Yeah.
This, if you were a person who was getting their information from their website,
Yeah.
you and oh yeah, and that's what I was going to say. What's ironic is I guess Playdate announced today that they're actually released now or something like that, and Evercade Versus announced today that they're in the U.S. finally.
Wow. I would say too, just from the perspective of Intellivision, there's two ways you could look at that last post is they are struggling to sell those boxed games, the boxed editions, or the physical.
Which, by the
I don't even know
way,
what they
they're
call them.
almost sold out. Remember
You're
that's what
right.
they said in November.
I
They're
could
almost
see
sold
your
out.
air quotes through your black screen. I could see your air quotes. But I wonder if they don't want to put a new story up because they want people to see that first. So they're really hesitant to say anything else because when people come to the page, they want it to be like an advertisement to buy those games. They don't want to be like, oh, new CEO, because that's like, that doesn't do anything for making money. I feel like everything that they're doing is just to squeeze the lemon. You know what I mean? It's not to produce something, it's just to get more juice out of this before it dissipates.
I,
And
I
another thing, speaking of, and I'll let you go, what happens to the investors from StartEngine? Where's that money go? Does it go back to them? Or do they close doors and it's gone? Like, there's so many questions I have right now.
I would love to hear from an investor on that. I mean, there was only 53 of them. So, or something like that. It was a low amount, very low amount, especially compared to their previous campaign. Because that's what when I look at their site, I'm like, I thought they're supposed to give 5 days notice. I thought they were supposed to. I would have figured. Now, as you said, Start Engine doesn't have a very high regard. So it's
Mhm.
possible that we don't understand or I don't understand how Start Engine does it. They just email people. They don't post it on the actual campaign page, which makes sense to me. But
Yep.
weren't they supposed to say 5 days left in the campaign? Weren't they supposed to say that
That's
and give
I said
people?
that I again, like we talked about that last night, and I said that in my video tonight too. Of like, I thought they were, but maybe that's just it's such a backwards website that maybe they just needed to give Start Engine a 5 day heads up. They didn't need to tell anybody else that.
Yeah, and I'm like, and by the way, Intellivision, how are you going to give your announcement? What's the plan? Is it going to be an email? Because the last email they sent an email with the family trailer and a link to the Start Engine. They didn't do a press release, but they sent that email out. But before that, it was like before Christmas. It was like the Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas email. Like they even their email has been very quiet. And all
Yep.
this tells me it's like the calm before the storm. It's either Either they're going to come out and they're going to be like, guess what? We got the money. It's in the factory. Here's the pictures, which I doubt because their MO has been, hey, look, we got the plug done. Hey, look,
Yeah,
we have the
yeah,
plastics done. Like every single part. If they had a finished prototype, don't you think they would show it off? Like the final prototype is here and it's ready to go to the factory.
yeah.
Like
That I mean, that's so telling. Their lack of communication, their lack of excitement of anything happening speaks volumes for where they're at right now, especially based off their past history of, like you said, like literally making a mountain out of a molehill about a game that is using stolen assets. Like that's not exciting to people. Like they want the console, and they're not showing anything about that, and it just goes to show that again, I keep saying I'd love to be proven wrong. Please, I would be more shocked than ever based off of what I know about this company to have them just be like, here's the console and it's being shipped. It's going to go out this week. I would,
yeah,
I don't know.
I would
I
there's a part of me obviously because like I said, I have friends who have been excited about this since day one, who've pre-ordered this, who have founders editions pre-ordered. I don't wish ill will on anybody. I don't take joy when ill will happens. So I want those
right.
people to get a system and enjoy it. And I don't want them to potentially lose their money. I don't want investors to lose their money. At the same time, though, some of the shady stuff that I've seen going on with Intellivision during the past year, all the misleadings, all the wordplay that they've used, all the outs they've given or not given, like to this day, they never told the people they emailed why they didn't get their system for Christmas when they said they were going to
Yes.
work hard. I mean, could you imagine if I told my little girl, if I told one of my little girls, hey, that Paw Patrol toy you want, I Daddy's going to do everything he can to get it to you by Christmas. Could you
Yep.
imagine her heart if Christmas Day came, it's not in any of the boxes and I don't even say anything about it.
Yeah. It's
Intellivision fans, you deserve better. Amico fans,
and
you deserve better.
that's why I go back to I think I don't want to get into the human psyche, but this has been a mental exercise, and I've learned a lot about people in general and myself and how I handle information. It's actually this situation's taught me a lot. And there's been a lot of people that have forgiven me. There's a lot of people that will never forgive me and think I'm the worst person in the world because I used to think one thing and then I realized that I was thinking the wrong thing. But point being, the people that are still pro Amico and how they shut me out of their life immediately when I dared question anything. It's concerning to me because that makes me wonder what would Intellivision have to do for them to realize that they had the wool pulled over their eyes. What would have to happen for them to accept that they've been taken? You know what I mean?
I really hope it doesn't come to this. I really hope it doesn't come to this. But could you imagine? This was one thought that went through my head, just pure speculation. What if the reason why I don't understand StartEngine, so this is ignorance talking. Don't put more than 2 cents into this. But my one thought is, what if they gave them paperwork that they filed for bankruptcy to end the campaign immediately without any notice? And
Oh,
what if, I mean, you're saying what would it take? What if all of a sudden the people from Intellivision who were talking to all these close YouTuber friends of theirs, what if all of a sudden they stopped answering their calls? The pre-order money's gone. They don't talk to them anymore. They just go into hiding. That I think would be a worst case scenario. And unfortunately, it's not one that I can dismiss totally. I
not
think
only
it's a
can you
low
dismiss it,
percentage.
but I mean that it sounds like it's actively happening right now.
And like I said, I'm going to say I'm going to be an optimist and say there's a low percentage chance because I just have to. There's a part of me that has to believe there's enough decency in them where they would come up and say, you know what, we tried our best. We're going to reorganize. We're going to refund everybody their pre-order money. Make sure that your information's still accurate, so we can refund them. Systems not coming out. That they would like try clean house that way and do the right thing before they would file bankruptcy if that's what they do. But the silence is eerie.
It is, and very telling.
And
I don't know what happens next now. Like this, it just went from it's kind of like funny, like haha, I wonder what they're gonna say, to okay, now it's getting real. Like what happens next now?
and the point is, I was one of the few people who listened closely to Phil Adams say, we're going to have it by March, by the end of, or I'm sorry, by the end of February, we're going to give an announcement. And then he said kind of like lightly, or maybe March 1st. I'm one of the few people who heard that. But do you know how many times I've listened to Amico apologist say, hey, we're going to get the announcement by the end of the month. We're after that
Yeah.
stream. We're going to get it by the end of the month. And I'm
Well,
like,
think about it. Think about it like this too. If there was going to be an announcement, and they're like, "Oh, we need to wait till March 1st for it," why would they cancel their start engine, knowing the backlash it's going to have immediately, without having something ready to go to satisfy people and be like, yeah, we canceled that, but here's the good news. Like offset it with something. Like the silence is deafening. That's what I keep going back to. Like I don't I don't understand how they could be so quiet right now, good news or bad news, how they're not saying anything. I think it speaks volumes for what's actually happening.
well, and the fact that the people who kind of been unofficial spokespeople for them, the people who they fed the information, which you were one of them at one point, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
people that we haven't heard any damage control. We haven't heard like,
That's a
hey,
great point.
and oftentimes, did you ever feel like that in television, the way they treated your circle was like a damage control thing? Did you ever feel like damage control, or was it just, hey, this is coming out, rah it, make videos if you want?
I mean, at times, I wouldn't say like that was the point or the main focus of the feeling, but I'd be lying if I didn't say at times it felt like we were damage control for them. It did. Like I said, when Tommy asked us to make positive comments on the Start Engine page to offset the negativity, I mean that was plain as day damage control. Like you guys want this to succeed and you're happy about it, you've played it, can you offset the negativity? Because we need damage control because it's destroying, or at least in their mind, it was destroying the chances of Start Engine. But realistically, the Start Engine never had a chance in hell to be successful. It didn't. They went back to the well way too many times. I said that to Tommy before they went live with it. He was very adamant and almost cocky to a point of just it's worked out so easily before the money's been there before. They have so many people, big names at the company, and all these things going for them that all they need to do is just announce a crowdfunding and they'll just have money like snap your fingers. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. You need to give people something. You can't just keep taking and just think people are just going to be just morons. Yeah,
Well, unfortunately, I think it worked for a while, but
it did.
enough voices started saying, like myself, because at the beginning I was excited for this thing and I made videos about being excited. And I even went on Twitter and been like, people are calling this a scam. How about we wait and see what happens? Like
Yeah.
back when there wasn't evidence, at least in my eyes, I didn't see evidence. I just saw speculation that it was a scam, which happens, and so, but my eyes just got more and more open. I'm like, oh my goodness, I think friends of mine are being taken advantage of, investors are being taken advantage of, and they're ruining the Intellivision name, which I like.
And
And,
what's this going to do? Oh, go ahead.
no, you go, man.
I was going to say, what's this going to do for the future of crowdfunding, for the future of retro reimagined consoles, and for the small companies out there that 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 do have a vision and do have a plan? Like this is going to wreck it for them because people are going to say, "Oh, Coleco Chameleon fool me once, Amico fool me twice." Like it's, I have a hard time imagining anyone being successful with the landscape that's been created by people trying to take advantage of others. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it should serve as something that, hey, if you're going to do something like this, if you're going to get into the I always thought it was interesting that people thought that it would be so easy for Intellivision to get into the console game, not just with like a little like play date, like we're going to do 20, 30, 40,000 units, but to do hundreds of thousands of units, you know, it shocks me that people thought that they could do it, because I'm like, this isn't the late 70s where any company, it's the Wild West, right? And you could
Yep,
just go
yep.
claim your land. This is now where the big boys play, to quote WCW. This is now a place where if you're going to do it, it's like trying to create a car company today, right? It
Yep.
takes a ton of money if you're going to be a serious contender. You can't just do it and start from nothing. You have to have crazy backing behind you. So I hope it serves as a warning for these startup companies to basically be realistic with your goals. Start small, because what it's going to take for these other companies is they're going to have to prove themselves with smaller projects and build themselves up, or come out with things
Yep.
that where, hey, this is our, like Atari, it's gonna be $400 a system if you want one, and they raised $300,000, or $3 million. Doesn't sell a ton, but so you have to be realistic with everything. It sounds like, I hate to say it, but it sounds like they were pulling numbers out of the air, and they were just making promises that, that they could never keep, without
Well,
planning.
that was part of the problem that I saw too. Is there was, I don't want to say there was like no plan or anything at the beginning. Like there was a plan. They went through a lot of different revisions of the Amico. Tommy showed me like a notebook of different prototypes and sketches that they had like professionally done. They had a whole bunch of different ones, and it was fascinating to go through them with them. And he was talking about how like someday in the future they'd want to do like a some sort of collector's book that would go through like the history of the Amico, of how it got made and all that stuff for the planning process. And it was pretty cool. I was like, this is in depth. It's cool. But I feel like that's it kind of got lost along the way when Tommy started doing interviews and people asked him questions and he would just people to death. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna have that. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we'll put those on it.
No, no,
Like
no, wait,
like
wait. No, no, no.
the
It's
Homer
not
car,
that.
like we were talking about, right?
No, he would say this. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh
Like, that's
yeah,
one of his
yeah,
favorite
yeah.
phrases. Wouldn't that be something? Or,
Wouldn't that be something?
it's ironic you bring them up, because last weekend I was at a meeting
Hmm.
and they were in the same hotel. Like, I heard some of those
Yep.
too. Like, he doesn't say anything beyond that, but like, oh,
Right.
I'm good. I'm great friends with them. I'm great friends with them. Like,
Oh, great person, great person. Yeah, we go way back. Yeah.
so this guy, Ilnova says, has anyone reached out to Intellivision? I read a post that they haven't been responding to emails since last week. I would be interested. Now, I have heard of people, wanting a refund and getting their refunds real quickly for their pre-orders. I hope that's still happening. I would be interested, and I'm not telling what people should do with their money, but if anyone has decided at the last second to do a pre-order refund through Intellivision, I would love to hear in the comments, and maybe after this video, gets posted, probably after the live time. I'm curious if anyone has heard from them. I'm curious if they're still getting their refunds. Because you want at least know that they're doing that still. I really hope so.
Well, to that point, I was thinking while you were talking, like, oh, I got Phil Adams' cell phone. I could call him, reach out to him, and he may or may not answer. He last our communication was him texting me like he's there if I want to reach out to him. So I'd imagine he'd answer. But what I keep going back to, the hell does it matter if he answers? Whatever he says, it doesn't mean anything. Like, what's actually happening? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even if they were communicating with people and telling people stuff, what can you even believe? You know, at this point, what's it mean? What's it worth?
I did go through the mental gymnastics, like, what if they announced today that the system is going to come out 10/10/22? What if they, because I could totally see them doing that. What if they
Yep,
came out and said that? Uh, I would have, if that were to happen, which is that's what they want. That's what, the people who are excited, they want to hear something good. They want a date. They want something they can hang their hat on. And
Yep.
so I'm at a point now, I can't believe you at all until you show me
Yep.
proof beyond proof. You need to show me the system manufactured in a factory. I need to see those amazing retail boxes shrink wrapped on a pallet. I need to see something that proves to me that you actually have the money and you have it going down. I need to see proof. I can't believe you anymore because all this stuff they did. Let me see if I can do the mental gymnastics. Today, they were supposed to give an announcement that was previously supposed to be given to the middle to the end of February, which was previously supposed to be given 30 days or so from January 10th, which was previously supposed to be given at the end of the year, which happened after they missed their previous 10/10/21 ship date, release date, which happened after they missed their April release date, which happened when they missed their 10/10/20 release date.
And all that you're skipping. Didn't you show like last night the Nick Richards comment saying like it was coming at the end of a month or something like
Yeah, he said
6 months ago?
yeah, I mean, he said like I know he on Republic, he said 30 days or so. He said that. I mean, this thing has been kicked down the curb. Why does anybody believe him anymore? It doesn't surprise me that there was no announcement today. What surprises me is that the StartEngine got canceled today of all days.
It shocked me. Shocked
All
me.
days.
I
Everyone's
mean,
waiting.
ironically too, my video today was calling for them to shut it down, and 5 hours later it shuts down.
Let me see if I can I don't even know if I can find this picture, but my thumbnail from when we streamed last night, my thumbnail, you know, turned StartEngine into StopEngine. I had no idea that that was going to be prophetic. That 24 hours
Right.
later, less than that, it would literally stop.
And to that point, could you have imagined, knowing that that happened, that they would have just canceled it without saying anything publicly or sending out a press release or and like I am an investor, so I can tell you firsthand, I was not informed privately either. Like nothing. That's no information anyone has gotten from this.
Lucky says they canceled because Smash said so. So, Smash, if you have such power, tell them to communicate clearly with people what exactly is going on. Maybe they'll
Well,
listen to you.
I told them to make the system like 5 videos ago, and they didn't listen to me then. So
Yeah, Master System says I didn't even check the StartEngine page during my stream earlier today. I would never imagined when you were streaming and it hadn't been canceled yet. I actually went on it earlier and I didn't see it till I think it got canceled about 8 o'clock tonight, which is
it,
probably the
yep,
time I would have expected an announcement at the very latest.
yep. Question for Smash JT: did any of this actually affected your health or personal? I mean, I I wouldn't say the game console affected my health or personal life, but my relationship with Tommy. I mean, I genuinely lost lost a good amount of sleep after I made that first video calling him out. That hurt. It hurt me to make that video, and it was really the hardest video I've ever pressed publish on when I published it. And that was from the heart. I had people saying like, "Oh, he's faking the crocodile tears." And stuff. It's like, no, that was real. Like what I had with Tommy, I thought was like a good friendship that we could trust each other with and be honest and genuine with, and maybe that was the case, but that doesn't mean that everything he told me about the Amico was factual and accurate and true, and that's what was really hard was to try to separate the two.
So Ninja Kitty, which by the way has been doing a hilarious series where
Great series, great series.
he's been going through all the comments on this or most of them. I thank you, Ninja Kitty, because let me just say right now, there were some troll comments on the StartEngine page where they actually said some really disturbing things about some of the Amico apologists that I thought really crossed a line. You know, you don't bring people's kids into it. You don't bring
Hmm.
disgusting acts into it. And honestly, you don't need to troll that. You just let the investors ask real questions and it seems like they're hanging themselves with the answers. Like, you don't really need to do the trolling thing, but that series, what is it, Ninja Kitty? 9 videos going through all the comments, and he says that he just posted that video and then found out later that, man, it's gone. It's gone. You were right, Ninja
Yep.
Kitty. That was your last one. He didn't even know. Yeah, there you go, Ninja Kitty. You're the cause. You know,
And
it
I
was.
saw on Ninja Kitty's video today. It was fascinating. He went through that. Highly recommend everyone watch it because at the end of the video, he goes through somebody from a previous crowdfunding. I can't remember which one it was. They've had so many. And he asked a lot of really good, genuinely deep questions that that are tangible, that could have real answers, that painted Intellivision in a corner, and they didn't answer it. But then you go to the StartEngine and you see Nick Richards interacting with the trolls and like attacking and going on the offensive, and I'm just like, where are the priorities with this company? That's very telling in its own right there.
Yes, absolutely. And let me just say too, I don't know if it's because people are, like you, waking up to it, or if it's people just realize, hey, in the end, it's just a piece of plastic. We're all gamers. You can like something and I cannot, and we can still get along. But I have
Hmm.
gotten some really positive comments from some of I'm trying to say a word that doesn't come across as insulting. I'm really trying. So I know people use the word cult. I'll say Amico apologists, people who have defended the system, to the nth degree. I've gotten some good contacts and discussions with a lot of them. I think the idea that this thought that there's these people out there who are so indoctrinated into it that they get tunnel vision and they take every criticism personal, that is such a small minority. That, I
Yeah.
think, is a very small minority. So I think it's important to realize that most of these people, they're just gamers who maybe have bet on the wrong horse, which, I mean, it's the race ain't over, but that's what it looks like.
Well, that's why with the people that are like hardcore supporters of the Amico, when they if they wake up from the fantasy with this thing and they come to me and they apologize for blocking me and saying the things that some of them said to me in DMs, I wouldn't hold it against them because I'd be like, I get it, man. I used to be that. I get it. And in that same vein, from my own experience, I know the gaming community gets a lot of it gets a bad look from the general public, but this situation has taught me how forgiving people really are. Bridges that I burned because I was so frustrated with people not hearing my side of it were more than open to welcome me back and rebuild bridges and maybe try to start over again multiple times with people. And it just goes to show the resilience of the community and the ability to forgive and not forget, but move on, learn, and understand that nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect, and I know people who I've had grudges with. If they approach me with a sincere, I took the wrong angle on this, and I just want you to know, I completely respect where you're coming from, then I would be open to rebuilding bridges with them too. So it's full circle. So it's not. I'm just trying to think of the positives that we get out of this. I'm not trying to be all negative.
Well, and the positive is, finding that some of us never grow up, but it's nice, a lot of us who grew up with the Atari and NES, we're entering our midlife kind of period, if you will. And it's nice to know that some of us can be like, you know what? Maybe when we were kids, I hated you because you like Sega and I was a Nintendo boy or whatever. But it's
Hmm.
nice that some of us can have civil conversations and can learn, like, hey, you know what? I made a mistake. I appreciate people who can say that, who can come up and say,
Yep.
and I remember, Tony, the Geek Getaway, when you made your first video, talking about your kind of the questions you had about Tommy and the Amico and the way they were doing
Hmm.
things. When you did that, I remember that Tony said, man, he was on streams like, I can't, he's been doing this for so long. He's been doing all of this stuff. And he said stuff about me and other people. And, unless he says he's sorry, I'm not, I can't take him seriously. It's just, he's just trying to save his own hide. and you
Yep.
made a video and you said, "Hey, I'm sorry." And Tony on Twitter said, "Apology accepted." And
And
the
we move
next
on.
and you move on, and the next thing you know, you're on the stream with him and you're talking and you're having conversations. I
Yep.
love seeing that. I think that's awesome. That,
Because
hey,
I think something that everyone needs to learn too, and I constantly am relearning this over and over again, is a challenge with YouTube is you can't get to know everybody personally. You don't get to learn who each person is that you interact with. So people take the cliff notes. They listen to their friends they trust, and they just, oh, don't talk to that person, do talk to this person. And they're like, okay, cool. So I won't waste my time with that person. And I fall into that too sometimes, and people are like, oh, don't listen to that person, instead of actually taking the time to hear them out. And more often than not, people are right, but there's always those times where, you know what, they just had a bad interaction with that person, and they're actually not a bad person. It's just they just don't mix. But that doesn't mean I can't be cool with that person. So I think the problem is people are just overwhelmed by the amount of people they try to interact with, so they limit it by creating groups of who they interact with and who they hate, and that way they don't need to ever extend a bridge to each other. So
right.
this situation's kind of taught me that, because I mean, not to throw Tommy under the bus, but Tommy didn't really have the nicest things in the world to say about Tony. I didn't know Tony, and I trusted Tommy. So ergo, I was like, yeah, Tommy says that about Tony. I don't want to even talk to Tony. I don't even want to give him the time of day, instead of actually hearing him out. So that was something that I learned after the fact of I need to, and Tommy Oyamiko had a fantastic video too, talking about the psychology of this stuff, and made me really rethink how I approach YouTube too. So I mean, not to get too cheesy here, but I feel like I've learned a lot more about the psychology of human interaction from just this plastic box situation.
Yes.
It's funny.
It's in the end, it's all about a plastic box. Ninja Kitty says there was a comment from a Republic fundraiser, an actual investor, and he asked 10 legitimate questions that never received a response. Well, some of them did, but not all of them. And I remember because Nick answered one of them right away. And he says, I'm going to be back shortly to answer the rest of these questions because they all deserve their own answer, not just one big long mega post. And then he came back. It was like 8 days later that he came back. I'm like, that was terrible. Let me see. There was another comment I wanted to see. I do wanna call it a night soon. I'm not gonna be
Yeah, I
on much
can't.
longer.
I
So
can't do this
do
again.
do you let me see. Oh, Lucky says this. I still can't figure if I'm pro Amico or anti Amico. You know what? I'm just pro truth. I just
Mhm.
want real transparency, and I want spades to be called a spade. So I really be excited about the system, but also have an appropriate level of accountability to
I think the problem with wanting the truth in a situation like this is there are some, I don't want to say all, but there are some aspects of the truth that may be true, and this goes back to what Tony was saying yesterday. If the end justifies the means, if you say something that tricks people into giving money, then the truth will be a reality because you got the money. So it's very complicated. It's not straightforward truth all the time, and I think that's where the gray area came into play here, and really tripped up a lot of people. And obviously, I was one of the bigger ones that got tripped up with that.
yes. Did you want me to, and it's okay if you're not, if you just want to head out, did you want me to see if anyone had, because I mean, you've been like the man of the hour when it comes to the Intellivision Amico, right? Like there's been a
For
lot,
better or worse.
there's been a lot of people who it's like very, they have a lot of questions, right? They have a lot of questions about that. Do you want me to see if anybody has a question you want to answer, or do you want to just call it a night and they can just, contact you on Twitter or something like that if they have a question or your videos?
I mean, I mean, I'm open to take some questions here. I can't stay too long, and I know you can't either. But if anyone has anything, uh, say it now, or hit me up on Twitter or in my comments section. I mean, I'm pretty what's the word uh, accessible. There we go. So
So
whatever.
I will let you decide if you see a question you want to do. Start reading it, and I will post it on screen. The one question I had is the one video you made. It sounded when you were talking about the connection to the Coleco Chameleon. How
Hmm.
long before that video did you realize Phil Adam was connected to the Chameleon?
Oh, that was that same day that I found that out.
That
I,
was that
I
that
mean, people, yeah, people were saying like, "Oh, this was known for a while," and other people said it. I'm like, maybe it was, but I either was in a trance when I heard it and didn't think about it, which I don't think that was the case, or I just never paid attention to those detractor videos that brought that kind of stuff up because I didn't want to hear that kind of stuff until I stopped and was like, okay, I'm going to start making up my own mind instead of just trusting this company.
Yes. Let's see. Obviously, we want to know what the box looks like. That'll be for another time because
Yeah,
and you're not. And someone's asking if you're under an NDA, a non-disclosure, and you said previously you're not under an NDA. There are some things that you're holding back out of respect to Tommy. Uh,
there's a tremendous amount that I'm holding back out of respect for them. So I'm sure they're not very happy with me. I'm sorry. I don't care. I got to be me, but I would like to think that at least they understand I'm being respectful to a lot of the things that were shown to me and told to me that I haven't come out with and said yet. But you know, one way or the other, it will be divulged. It's just a matter of time, whether it's going to be from me or from them. We'll have to find out.
so why don't you look through those questions and see if there's anything else you want to answer before you go? Because I know there's some questions that you might consider trolling, but some legitimate. So
No, no, I don't. I honestly don't look at any. Well, I mean, obviously, except the obvious troll ones. But just first, when I see Atomic Age Gamer, you were fairly blustery, condescending to Amico critics. Was that your legitimate feeling at the time versus just going along with Team Amico mindset? It was my legitimate feeling at the time because I was people. That's the thing. When I start going down this, it's making excuses for my actions, and I need to be fully accountable for them. But the truth is, I felt like I was indoctrinated by Tommy, and that this was, those people don't know what's going on out there because they're not in here, and here's what's going on in here. And I was there myself, and I saw it in person, and it was very easy for Tommy to brush off any criticisms because of that fact in itself. So I took a very wrong approach. So that I mean, I'm again, people that hold it against me. I'm sorry. I don't know what more I can do except say, I'm sorry. I understand what I did wrong, and I'm trying to work to be a better person to never be like that again. And I know this is going to be like a scarlet letter I wear for the rest of my YouTube career. I get that, but I mean, look at anyone that's on YouTube for a long time screws up. It's you live long enough on this planet, you screw up. You follow the wrong people, you trust the wrong things, and you make the mistakes, and that's how you learn from them. So I'd like to think that we're all human. We understand that that maybe I use this as a learning experience. Yeah, I could have been nicer to the detractors, but my approach was that they're not hearing my side of it. They're just wanting to ruin this because they want to grow their channels and get clicks, as opposed to be happy that there's more competition in the gaming industry. And obviously that wasn't the whole case, but that's how I justified it in my mind.
absolutely. How about this? And I don't know if you want to answer this or not. What's your suggestion for any other cult member who's looking for an off ramp?
My suggestion is to uh, here's from my perspective. Unblock me, apologize, and do what I did. Say, hey man, sorry, I was just drinking the Kool-Aid with this stuff, and I didn't see it for what it was. And we all learned. You did it too. I did it. Let's take this as a great learning experience and move on from it. And I fully expect that to happen, whether it's later tonight or 6 months down the road or 2 years down the road with at least two or three of these people. I fully expect that to happen. If it doesn't, that's truly unfortunate. But it is what it is.
And of course, here's one of my mantras for life: let's be excellent to one another. I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any other questions you wanted to? I mean, the comments are going real fast, but did you see anything else you
Yeah.
wanted to answer?
um, Master System thoughts on the Evercade versus being 99 on Amazon and available with two Intellivision cartridges. That I think it's. I just smile when I see that. Like I don't have any thoughts. It's just funny to me. I don't know. Like I don't know what am I supposed to say about that. Like it's just funny. It's funny to see that.
XJ just got in. Is the Amico canceled or just the StartEngine? StartEngine campaign is over. They ended it early. We don't know why because they didn't say. And this was the day that they were supposed to give an announcement. So it looks bad.
It
That's
looks bad, but I don't remember where it was, but I do recall Phil Adam clarifying that it may come as late as March 1st. So,
tomorrow, which well
yeah,
actually
so
now in my time zone.
right. But like I said, I go back to it's pretty crazy if they're holding off on some world shaking information for tomorrow when they just quietly cancel the start engine and don't say anything to offset that. It's just an interesting marketing approach if that's the reality. But we will wait to see what happens tomorrow. I don't want to be like, oh, this is a knee jerk reaction, but the road that we've been led down with this company, it's not knee jerk. It's here it is. Yep, that's on brand. It's on brand, and it's unfortunate.
And I have a question for Ben. I'm just putting this up because Ben has said the Pong Show that tomorrow or today he's going to clear out all his subscription of the YouTubers who just do the Amico comment. So Ben, will you still subscribe to me for my other stuff? So that's my only question for Ben. So he can enter that because I've talked to Ben before and he's a cool guy. It's been his
Yeah,
Intellivision Amico take.
I like his takes. He's very shoots from the hip.
Yep. Any other questions you wanted to address, or you want to call it a night? Because I know it's getting pretty late.
I think I'll call it a night. I could stay here all night going through these, but I'll call it a night. My voice is a little raspy, getting over a little cold. Being in the cold weather, it always happens. So I need to get some rest, anyways.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. All right. And thank you to all you guys who are in the chat for keeping it pretty civil. And also thank you to anyone who's watching this later. Car Smash JT, you can find him on YouTube. And of course, you know where I am at because that's probably how you're hearing that. But anyways, I'll just do like I did on my podcast once again and say, remember, everybody, games are fun, but always keep first things first. I will see you.